Hello and welcome back. We are on day 6 of our 10-day Improve Your Bachata challenge. In today's lesson, I'm going to be teaching you how to incorporate body rolls into your bachata dancing. This is a topic that I get questions about a lot, so I'm extra excited to share this lesson with you today. So let's get into it. So something that often happens when I'm teaching my students is I will teach them how to do a body roll. They can do it very well, but then when I ask them to incorporate it into their dancing, they don't really know how. So that's what this entire video is about. I'm going to just briefly cover a few things that are going to help you do a successful body roll, and then we will get into how to incorporate that into your dancing. So I do have another video on my channel which kind of outlines how to do a body roll, which I'll put a link to now if you want to check that out. But I'm going to be sharing some other tips in this video that I found very helpful for my students. So we're going to start by just stepping with one foot out in front. Whichever your dominant foot is, I would say start with that one because we want to make ourselves as comfortable as possible to start this process. So I generally break my body roll into 4 parts. First, I'm going to send my chest as far forward as I can, placing the weight onto the front foot. What this does is it creates an arch in my back. A common mistake that people make when I tell them to put their chest forward is they do this. They kind of hinge from the hips forward, which gives us a kind of board-like look. And because we're trying to create a rolling action, that doesn't really serve us. So we want to send the chest forward and create as profound an arch in our back as we can. The second part, and arguably the most important, because this is the one that most people want to skip, and then the roll doesn't have the right look, is to lift the chest as high as you can. So I first send it forward, and then I lift, 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 and as I do that, my hips are going to come forward. So I lift first, and then I'm still lifting, but I'm sending the chest back. So it first went forward, it lifts, and it goes back. And naturally, as I send my chest back, my hips are coming forward into this kind of flat position. So my hip flexors are nice and flat at this point. So those are the first 3 parts. So I'm going 1, 2, 3. Here I'm hinging backward, my hips are going forward. The last part is to crunch, which means I'm going to tilt my pelvis back, bringing the belly button toward the ceiling, and then I'm going to just bring my hips right underneath my shoulders. Another common mistake that my students make, they'll do all of this correctly, and then at the end, they end up in this position. We want to end up in neutral, meaning that my hips are right underneath my shoulder blades. Do not send the chest forward at the end, because then you're not going to see the full range of motion of your spine, okay? Now, the legs and when we're first learning how to do the body roll, I request that my students try to do all of this on straight knees and then bend at the very end. The reason being, when I bend my knees, what happens a lot of times is I just tend to change my weight instead of really isolating the core and the spine. So I'm going onto straight knees, lift, lift, and here also, this is another important thing that really helps people, is to keep your weight on your front foot until the very last second. Until I sit my pelvis back, I'm not changing my weight. I only change my weight at the very last second when my hips do go back, okay? I'm gonna try it again on the other side now. Forward, lift, crunch, and sit. Forward onto straight knees, lift, crunch, sit. Onto the front foot, front foot, front foot, front foot, front foot, and back foot. Okay? So that's our body roll. If that's difficult for you, I recommend you get lots of repetition with that. In the video that I mentioned earlier, I do use a wall to kind of gauge if I am using my entire torso to create it. So I'll touch the wall first with my chest, then my rib cage, then my hips, and then I separate everything from the wall. So that's a good way to practice it as well, just to make sure that you are doing the sequence correctly. So now that I've explained the body roll, we're first going to look at just how to do a roll and tap, and then we will look at how to incorporate 2 body rolls into the space of our normal bachata basic, okay? So if I'm in my basic, 1, 2, 3, tap, 1, 2, 3, tap. I have the option to go 1, 2, 3, tap, 1, 2, 3, tap, instead of doing my 3 steps. And as you can see, if I take a fairly large step out to the side, it doesn't matter that I'm only doing 1 step instead of 3, because 3 small steps will take up the same amount of space as 1 large step to the side. So we're first going to practice how to do that. The most challenging part of what we're doing today is going to be sending the chest forward as you step out to the side, which is technically putting the foot kind of behind you. Because when we learn how to do the body roll initially, we're putting our weight forward as we do it, and we are still putting our weight forward, but we're doing it as we move a foot away from where we're sending the chest. So I just want to practice that transition first. So I step out and I turn the chest about 1/8 of a turn off center, and I move it forward like we just did when we were learning the body roll. So I go out, out. So I'm sending my weight over the foot that I'm standing on. I'm not sending my weight over the foot that I'm stepping toward, yeah? So I go, I don't know, that didn't really make sense, that sentence, but I hope you understand what I mean. I'm sending my foot out, but I'm keeping my weight on my standing foot. That's a better way to say that. Okay, so we go 1, and then I'm going to finish my body roll, so I'm going to do the rest of it. Lift, crunch, sit, tap. And as I'm sitting, I'm bringing my ankles together for the tap. I just let this kind of drag in on the inside edge of the ball of the foot. And I'm going to do the other side. Step. Let's just practice that again. Step and send the chest forward in the opposite direction of where you're sending your foot. Step. Step. And now I go lift, crunch, sit, tap. Step. And the other thing is to try and get the knees straight as you do this so that you can really isolate the body. If I do this on bent knees, it doesn't have a very elegant look to it, but it also, like I said in the beginning, it will affect your ability to really feel like you're isolating your torso and not using the legs to make it happen, okay? So, we're going to do this nice and slow. I'm going to do basic, and then I'm going to do a body roll to each side, and then another basic. So we go 1, 2, 3, tap, 1, 2, 3, here we go. 1, 2, 3, tap, 1, 2, 3, and basic. 1, 2, 3, tap, 1, here we go again. Get those knees straight to start. 1, 2, 3, tap, 1, 2, 3, tap, and basic, 2, 3, tap, and here we go, chest to the left, 2, 3, tap, chest to the right, 2, 3, tap, and basic. This is our last one before we do it with music. Here we go. 1, lift, crunch, sit, and 1, lift, crunch, sit, and 1. Okay, so let's give that a shot now with music. First we'll do just the body rolls, half time, and then we will do basic body roll real time. Okay, so starting with the right foot, half time, we go 1, 2, 3, tap. 1, 2, Body rolls in your Bachata basic, and that is to add it onto our normal footwork, which is our 1, 2, 3 tap. So I'll show you what that looks like. It looks like this. 1, 2, 3 tap, 1, 2, 3 tap. Okay, so as you can see, in that type of body roll, my rolling action is a lot smaller because I have less time to get through it. So at this point now, we're not going to reach way out to the edges of our range of motion. We're going to do like a mini body roll. And I find something that's very helpful in achieving that is kind of thinking about leading with one of our shoulders. So we're going to try that. When I'm moving to the right, I'll do this facing away, I'm actually going to lead the body roll with my left shoulder. So I go over and, on that and, I'm sending the chest forward so that I can start again, 7, 8, or sorry, 3, 4. And so I start after the tap. The first thing I do, just like in the first version of this step, is I send my chest forward, and as I do that, I'm starting to roll the shoulder backwards. So there's a lot happening to get you started, and then once you get started, it should feel pretty natural. So that's why we're focusing really on how to get started, because that's usually the hardest part. So I turn my chest as I send my foot out to the side, and I roll the shoulder, tap. Sending the chest forward, and tap. Chest, rib cage, hip, sit. 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 Okay, so it's the same trajectory of movement, a little smaller, and using the shoulder in this kind of backward circular motion to help you create a nice, smooth transition there. So we go. I'm going to go to the right first, which means I'm turning my chest to the left. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And basic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last time before we try it with music. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now let's give that a shot with music. Same thing as before, we'll do just the body roll part half time, and then we'll do it with the basic in between meal time. 5, 6, ready, we go. 1, 2, 3, tap. 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 1, 2, 3, basic. 1. Here we go, body roll, real time. And 1, 2, 3, tap. 1, 2, 3, tap. And here we go again. And roll. of this 10-day Improve Your Bachata Challenge. Keep practicing, and I will see you back here tomorrow for decorative arm movements.
Thanks so much for joining me for today's lesson. Leave a comment below and let me know how you did. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications for my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at Dance Doctor Online. Until next time, keep dancing.